Hey, race fans, welcome to Backseat Drivers. I am Alex Weaver. A close to perfect race for Martin Truex Jr. wins stage 1 and 2, and then the race at Darlington, throwing it back with all of the paint schemes, but it was the Matt Magic who gets MTJ's third win of the season. Joining me virtually this week is Jonathan Merriman, and still known as the best hair in the NASCAR Cup Series garage, Kyle Petty. KP, throwback week, you had a scheme that honored you. What did you think about it?
You know what? I just think I'm getting old because they're honoring me. That's the way I can't. And every one that they've done has been spectacular. The Hot Wheels this year was pretty cool. So I thought they did a great job. I wish I had Hot Wheels on it, but I thought they did a great job.
All right. Well, this is a segment that we like to call left or right turn. Opposite directions require opposite opinions here in the backseat. So let's start with MTJ, now known as the modern day Ned Jarrett, after his domination and the margin of victory at Darlington. KP, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think MTJ's, they called it a good old-fashioned butt kicking. They didn't use those words exactly, but pretty close. What did you think of Sunday's domination by the 19?
Listen, it's impressive. I think when Martin seems to win races, that's the way he wins. He's a funny race car driver. He doesn't race. He just goes and just kicks your rear end. That's just the way it is. He did it at the 600. He's done it so many places where he just drives away. And he did it again on Sunday. I don't like to compare modern day drivers to guys like Ned Jarrett, who won by 14 laps. Winning the way he won was not a 14-lap win. But at the same time, only having 8 or 9 cars in the lead lap, the dominant performance that he did, that he had, it was incredibly impressive in this day and time against this level of competition to run away at a racetrack like Darlington and basically hide.
Well, look, Kyle Petty already said he was old. I don't remember Ned Jarrett on the racetrack, so I don't know if I can answer that question. But look, what Martin Truex Jr. did, jumping out to a lead like that. Now, Larson caught him there at the end and made it a little bit interesting, but for the majority of that race, he waxed everybody, take away competition caution and stage breaks, and he could have lapped the field. He was that fast. So whether it was Ned Jarrett-like or not, I think, Truex, with what he's done previously in the Coke 600, the quickest Coke 600 ever run, he was so dominant, so fast. I think he definitely deserves a spot in NASCAR history up there with the greats, just with how he's able to, complete a race and finish one out.
Yeah, well, it wasn't 14 laps like Jarrett, but only 9 cars in the lead lap and had over 2 seconds lead on Kyle Larson. But I do have to give credit to Kyle Larson because his little thread the needle action was pretty impressive there with the 2 cars on the side. Not everybody can do that.
Look, I give him credit because it was Ryan Newman and Tyler Reddick. Who stuffs the car between those guys anywhere? Daytona or Talladega, much less Darlington. But that was an impressive move. It was impressive to watch him at least attempt that. But at the same time, you got to give Tyler Reddick and give Ryan Newman a little bit of credit there for knowing what was going on around them, and once he threaded it, those 2 guys went back to beating on each other. So it was definitely, that may be the move of the year so far.
Yeah.
90% of people, KP, wouldn't be able to fit a car in that space that tight in a Food Line parking lot, much less at 160 miles an hour at Darlington. It beats all I've ever seen, that's for sure.
Yes.
Well, I also had Harvick as the winner after his win back there in May of 2020 and the domination there for the 4 car. It did not happen, of course. When I picked them, it never happens. But around this time in 2020 was when Harvick started to make his comeback of the season. It was obviously different circumstances last season, but when does the 4 camp turn on? What's going on over there, KP?
That's a head scratcher for me. I don't know where they went. And I think for me, a comeback for Kevin and Rodney right now is just get back in the game. Just show up. Show me that you can lead laps. Show me that you can run up front. Show me that you can get looks at wins. And I talk about that a lot. If you can run second or third, you're seeing a win. It's there. You can see it out in front of you. If you're not getting looks, you're not going to win races. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Unless we go back to Daytona or Talladega, and then you don't even have to know what's going on to get a win there. Sometimes it seems like. But get back in the game. And I struggled in my head to figure out what's going on. I don't believe. I think Rodney and Kevin are carrying Stewart-Haas Racing on their back. I don't think they get a lot of help, honestly. And I'm not inside, so this is just opinion. I don't think they get a lot of help moving the ball from Cole Custer, from Chase Briscoe, or from Eric Almirola. I don't think those Monday morning meetings or Tuesday morning meetings, there seems to be, if I watch what they're doing, it appears to be silence from one side of the room and whatever Kevin wants to do and Rodney wants to do. But they can't carry this ball forever. They've got to have help. And I'm just waiting for him to get back to where we see that car run up front, because Kevin Harvick is an incredible driver and his career is not over. He can still win races and win a lot of races.
And KP, I know that it's early in the season, but we are still 12 races into this season. So right now, looking at the 4, is he a championship contender?
No, not right now. I don't listen. I don't hardly, just barely have him. If I had to choose right now, I would just barely have him getting to the final, to the 8, but definitely not to the final 4.
Merriman, what's going on with the 4 over there?
I'm going to argue against Kyle Petty, and simply because if we look at last year, that 4 car won 9 races, gets to the playoffs, and it's like the hauler drove off into a black hole. Where did they go? So that goes to show you how the season isn't indicative of what can happen in the playoffs. All Kevin has to do is qualify for the playoff, and then it's a whole new ballgame. He can win a race every round and make it there. So it's very much possible. This is around the time of year. I know we had a shutdown last year, but around the time of year where that 9 car started to pick up a little steam. We saw it at Kansas pick up a little steam, ran a little bit better at Darlington. Haven't won yet. All it's going to take is one win and for them to get their stuff together come August or September. And it's an entirely different ball game. So do I think the 4 car, can get to Phoenix and make the championship 4? Yes. They got a long way to go, though, and they can't do what they did last year and not show up once the playoffs start.
That's a great point. Listen, that's a great point. It's a long season, and you look at it and you say you can get on a streak, you can get hot, you can make something happen. My problem is Kevin Harvick and that team has been cold for the last 22 races. Once they got in the playoffs last year, they were cold. They went in, they didn't make the final 4. They didn't get to that point. They started the year the same way. So we're not talking something as I look at it, I'm not looking at something that just went 12 races this season. I'm going back to last year and the latter part of last year to say it's been almost 2/3 of a season. If we look at the number of races that they haven't showed up, and to get back in the game once again, you've got to get some looks at some wins. So I'd like to see that before we start talking playoffs.
Yeah, over there at Stewart Haas, they need to get 2 sticks, rub them together, do something, light some fire under some people for sure for the rest of the season. Well, a team that does not need the heat streak is Joe Gibbs Racing. They had a solid day at the Lady in Black, 3 cars in the top 5. I know Phoenix is a long way away. I put this on my social media. Man, I have never gotten so many responses about how early it is in the season. We know we're just throwing out hypotheticals because they're fun. Back to 2019, do we have a repeat with 3 of the 4 Joe Gibbs Racing cars in the championship for KP?
No, I don't think so. I don't see that. I mean, listen, if we go back 2 weeks, we were talking about where's Kyle Busch? Where's Kyle Busch? And now all of a sudden the poll question is he wins 1 race and we've got him in the final 4. We've got all the Gibbs cars. So no, I don't see that. Denny Hamlin is yet to win a race. Somehow every week he finds a way not to win. It seems like over these first 11 or 12 races, but he has a winning car. So I look at that and I think to Jonathan's point earlier on Kevin, he's going to get on a hot streak at some point in time. And when he does, man, Katie bar the door, because he can rattle off 6 or 7 wins the way they've run so far this year. We know what Truex is doing, but I just don't see him putting 3 of them in the final 4.
So all those accounts on my Twitter page last night were just Kyle Petty undercover, apparently. All right, Merriman, what you got? Do you think it could do 3 or 4? Obviously, we're talking about the 19, the 11, and the 18.
Yeah, and I think, look, once you get to playoff time, like I said with Kevin Harvick, it's a different ball game. You look at the tracks that are in the playoffs, I think it suits all 3 of those guys. At the rate Truex is going, he's going to have enough of a cushion with playoff points if he keeps sweeping races and winning races. He's not going to necessarily have to worry about winning every week. But you got a guy like Kyle Busch and a guy like Denny Hamlin who have proven that they could. So with the right streak of luck in the playoffs, I don't think it's unrealistic to think Joe Gibbs could have 3 of the 4 spots in that Final Four race. We have seen it once before. And man, it's when we're talking like this, it's a good time to be Joe Gibbs. That's for sure.
Listen, I love the way you throw all this out with the right streak of luck. Listen, under the right circumstances, I can come back and drive the 43 car, but that's not going to happen either. Okay, so let's just be honest about this.
Well, we did.
I'd pay to see it.
We asked the folks at home. 62% said no, that it wasn't going to happen again. Just for the record, I am also on the side of no. So take that for what it's worth. For this week's Going the Wrong Way award, it's a little better. We've given it to this camp before, this organization before, but we're only kind of giving it to half of Stewart-Haas Racing. A few laps in, Eric Amarola's day was completely over. Merriman, I'm starting with you on this one. Are his playoff chances over? I know it's early. I know we're only 12 races in, and all it takes is one win for the 10. But, man, a nightmare start to the season.
He has been good at Dover, and we know what he can do on the super speedways. But having said that, look, it's I don't think anybody on a Twitter poll would say, yeah, they're going to make the championship. Just with the way the parity is going in the sport and the way that he can't do anything right now. And it's whether it's any fault of his own or whether it's somebody else's fault, something happens to that 10 car. We're talking about making, 4 to 6 laps at Darlington, and that car looks like it's, trying to fold itself in half. He hit the inside wall so hard. So, I mean, we talked about it being a good time to be Joe Gibbs with his drivers winning. Not a great time to be Eric Almirola right now with not being able to finish some of these races.
And yeah. Kyle, he was quoted as saying, what a horrible year already when he was, released from the Infield Care Center. As a driver, when you're in that mindset and you already know that it's been a struggle of a year, how hard is it to kind of flip the switch and turn that around?
The problem is you as a driver can't flip that switch. It takes a combination of a lot of things. I mean, and I say it, and I answer this as a driver. There are just times in your career where nothing you do is right. Listen, today, right now, if he went to Denny's and ordered the Grand Slam breakfast, they would bring him something different. They couldn't even get his breakfast right. That's the way it works. I'm sorry. And the thing is, when you look at it, it's there's nothing you can do. You're focused, you're trying, but it begins to eat at your confidence. It begins to be, and then you begin to do little things on the racetrack. Well, I'm not going to be this aggressive. Well, I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to change that. And then when you start changing things, then you put yourself in a different race and you put yourself in a different place that you've never been before, and things happen to you. So the best thing Eric can do is keep his head down, keep grinding, work through this slump in this bad place, and hope that it ends soon so he salvages something out of this year. Because he's on track to have one of the worst years and one of the best organizations. And nobody wants that on their resume.
Yeah, absolutely not. His teammate in the 41 over there, Cole Custer, took pretty much the same hit in the same place. Wrong place, wrong time for both of those cars. But we're all hungry for some more racing. Time for a little rapid fire in the drive-through. Short and sweet answers. Eric Jones won the paint scheme fan vote with his throwback to John Andretti in the number 43. KP, you're not starting with this one. I'm starting with Merriman because you have a little bias to the 43. So Merriman, was that your favorite paint scheme of the week?
It was one of them. I really liked the variety out there. I didn't think I was going to like Logano's, but when I saw that Ferrari red on the 22, and look, NASCAR fans will kill me because it's not a NASCAR throwback. It's a F1 throwback to Andretti. But the Ferrari red on that race car was absolutely slick.
They can kill me too. That was my favorite from Sunday was Joey Logano's. KP, do you agree with the fans? You going with the 43 or you taking another car?
Okay, listen, I'm not going to take another car because I cannot ever go against the 43. Understand that. It's not in my DNA to go against the 43. But I will say this. If you do a throwback of Richard Petty stuff, if you do a throwback of Dale Sr. stuff, you win. That's the way it works. All you have to do is pick one of those two guys, do a throwback, and you have a fan favorite. So, I mean, it does not surprise me that they chose that car.
Well, we had quite the number of Polish Prince throwbacks honoring the late Alan Kulwicki. I'm looking at the 9 of Chase Elliott, the 7 of Corey LaJoie, and the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. Which one was the best in your mind honoring Kulwicki?
Corey LaJoie wins hands down. He's got the original sponsor, the uniform. He had everything except this. Alan used to carry a comb in his car so that before he got out in victory lane or before he got out of the car, he would comb his hair. I need to check and see if Corey had a comb in his car. If he had a comb in his car, Corey LaJoie, hands down.
All right, Merriman.
Just let Kyle Petty answer mine for me. He knows who I'm going to pick. I thought Chase Elliott's was pretty good. Plus, anytime you can get chicken wings on the hood of that car, I think it's a great day all around. Was missing the underbird on the front. I know they wouldn't let him do it because it's a Camaro, but still, that's the only detail they were missing on that 9. It was a sharp-looking ride.
And there's your weekly shout-out to Chase Elliott from Jonathan Merriman.
Yeah, I think you would pick Chase even without the chicken wings. So we know where you're going on that one.
Yeah, the fan club made me cut my hair, so.
Yeah. We talked about the summer heat turning up for the drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series, and especially over at Joe Gibbs Racing. All are capable of making it to the championship 4, especially when you light a fire under each of those drivers. But which one is best poised for it, Merriman?
I mean, I think on the outset, you have to look at Martin Truex Jr. just winning 3 races, the playoff points, everything like that. But look, you can't count anybody out. The seasons are long. They're wacky. The playoffs are a whole different ball game. So we saw it last year with Harvick. You win 9 races. You don't make the final 4 with a mountain of playoff points. I think, if not for spinning on the last lap, he would have been 1 point short of not making it to Phoenix. But you can't pick against Truex right now. It's, it's set in stone in my opinion.
Yeah. And I would have to agree, Truex. But you know what? An interesting for me is going to be Kyle Busch, because I think Kyle Busch, no practice has hurt Kyle Busch, and he's getting better with no practice. But we're throwing some new racetracks in the mix this year that we're going to get some practice at. And you give Kyle Busch back a little bit of practice and some times to work on some of that, and those guys gain a little bit. I think Kyle Busch may be the guy back to as Jonathan has mentioned a couple of times, a streaky sport. And he makes the playoffs. He's a guy that can do it. I believe he can get really hot.
Yeah, he and the new crew chief seem to be clicking a little bit better now as we start to get into the summer months. So interesting to see what the 18 will do. Well, the Backseat Drivers have a NASCAR Fantasy League where you at home have been playing along with us. We have, let me make sure I get these names right. I'm always scared I'm going to say these wrong. JC Racing for the win. Got 267 points from Darlington. Well, Dover's on the map. The NASCAR Cup Series is headed there for 2021, first time this season. In 2020, once again, just like Darlington, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin split Dover wins. Each one got a win. So, KP, are you taking the 4 and the 11, or are you taking the field?
Okay, I'm taking somewhere between the 4 and 11. I'm going to take the 9. I'm going to take Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott, to me, it's just I think that's a place that these guys can really find where they need to be. They've been a little lost the first part of the year. I think they can throw it in the top 10 anytime they want to, but they need to step it up a little bit. And I just think he's my guy at Dover.
Give me $50 in your address, KP. I'll get you a membership.
Please, just a card. That's all I want.
I think his teammate Kyle Larson's going to be tough to beat in this equipment at this racetrack. I think Kyle gets his 2nd win of the year.
Okay, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm agreeing with Merriman. I'm going with the 5 of Kyle Larson. He's just looked really good at 1.5 miles, so I can't go against the 5. And I think, he's had so many great finishes. I think he has to capitalize on one. We also, Merriman and I talked about the good-looking fire suit from Darlington with Kyle Larson. So if he can bring that to Dover, then I'm all for it.
Oh, yeah, Dover is a fashion show, so please bring your fire suit.
They love the red carpet looks up there in Dover. Well, KP, it's always a pleasure. Tell Morgan happy late Mother's Day for us, and enjoy the 2 boys. I know they're getting big there.
Yeah, they are getting big. And thank you guys for everything. Happy late Mother's Day to everybody that's watching.
Yeah, I have a fur baby, so we can say happy Mother's Day to those 2. All right, Merriman, make sure and tune in to Dover Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on FS1. We'll see you right back here next week in the Backseat.